Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another discussion for Boruto Naruto Next Generations manga chapter 73. And today we're going to be talking about Shikamaru's proposed plan in the last manga chapter regarding Boruto, Kawaki, and Ada, and whether or not everyone's favorite lazy genius Shikamaru might actually be making a major mistake with this plan. This might be a huge oversight. As we all know, in the last manga chapter, Shikamaru assembled Team 7 in the Hokage office to inform them about their current mission, which is to have Kawaki live with Ada, while Boruto's there to mediate between the two of them and eventually step in if Kawaki blows this up. And Team 7 will be observing the situation from afar in order to avoid Sarada, Mitsuki, and Konohamaru from falling under Ada's control powers and provide support should things go sideways with the mission, which is a side note. You definitely want Konohamaru not in the same room with Ada because Konohamaru is a virgin. We all know what Ada's powers can do to somebody who's simple-minded. However, unbeknownst to them, Shikamaru also had this mission double into what Sasuke referred to as being a glorified house arrest, meant to keep Boruto, Kawaki, and Ada all under one roof where they can be watched and where they can be contained. The two major bombs, as he referred to them, were in an isolated area, along with the woman whose control powers would be null and void due to Boruto and Kawaki being immune to her powers, due to Boruto being 100% Otsutsuki and Kawaki having Ishiki's Otsutsuki data inside of him. However, that's where things get really tricky here. Shikamaru's plan, while smart on the surface level, opens itself up to quite a few ways the situation can prematurely end in failure, which, yes, premature is a pun on the thumbnail that you should have seen before clicking. Let's start with the obvious here. Shikamaru is placing Kawaki and Ada in the same house for an extended period of time with the hopes that Kawaki somehow manages to charm Ada enough for them to be able to pull off converting Ada into being a Hidden Leaf asset. The problem with the mission where Kawaki is going to have to use his people skills is that the guy has a blunt personality, he has a razor sharp tongue, he doesn't know how to read the room, and he isn't necessarily a people person. He's not the type of guy you assign to a mission where the fate of the world rides on Kawaki basically losing his virginity to Ada and Boruto being able to tag in if Kawaki can't get the job done. Shikamaru has come up with some crazy plans in the past, and Naruto's Among Us has some pretty crazy sexual humor hidden in plain sight, or it's been right inside of your face, like say when Naruto used the sexy jutsu on Kage. That was very much so in your face. However, with some of the more subtle stuff like the Itachi and Kisame interactions, it goes over your head if you don't know what to look for. But this, out of the two Naruto franchises in manga format, this is probably the most bold thing that Shikamaru has ever done. Boruto is there to mediate between the two of them, but if Kawaki ends up turning off Ada, it's going to be up to Boruto to appease Ada, and in the past, she hasn't turned up her nose at Boruto, but she made it clear that she prefers Kawaki, like a majority of the Japanese fandom does, ironically. Somewhere, 13-year-old Naruto's wondering why he never got to go on missions like this. Back in his day, he was chasing around a mad, red-haired Jinchuriki who was trying to destroy Konoha, whereas Kawaki and Boruto just have to have Crunchyroll and chill with Ada. Boy, have the times changed. I'm not referring to Boruto, Kawaki, and Ada living under the same house in what is sure to be littered with Kishimoto's deranged kanji. Instead, I'm referring to the fact that Shikamaru has made his plan without realizing the other factors on the table. It won't just be Ada there with Boruto and Kawaki. Damon is super protective of Ada. He's going to want to be under the same roof as Ada. If things do go sideways, while Ada herself is strong but doesn't like to fight, Damon has no problems hitting somebody with the Roman Reigns Superman punch or the Seth Rollins kick stomp. Where there is an option to choose violence, Damon will choose violence. Then with Damon, you also have Amato, who Damon is not going to want to let out of his sight. While Ada herself can track Amato with her Senrigan, she's not going to want to do so unless she absolutely has to, and by her own words, she gets distracted very easily. Do we really think she won't get distracted if Kawaki is under the same roof as her and she's going to be doing her best to make Kawaki fall in love with her? Turning on that Senrigan is going to be one of the last things for her in terms of her priorities. Her priority is going to be Kawaki. Then we have the issue of what happens if Kawaki gets irritated with Ada and just pisses her off. That leaves Boruto to step in and have to appease Ada. but given the Momoshiki situation, he's likely not going to be on his A game at that point, even though Boruto is a people person. The chances of Kawaki calling Ada out of her name or being disrespectful to her, it feels like it's going to be something extremely high, because the only person Kawaki's not called out of her name was Himawari. As Shikamaru stated, Ada is extremely important, and not because her powers allow her to find code. If they make an enemy out of Ada, she can control anyone not blood related or Tsuki. The entire ninja world could fall under her control if she wished it to. She could be every bit the threat of somebody that we've seen like Makima from Chainsaw Man, whose powers are very identical to Ada's. While it's possible that Kawaki stays on his best behavior due to the threat that Ada could pose to Naruto, if he does get it in his mind to say eliminate the threat, in this case Ada, that's going to lead to Damon stomping him the same way that he did Code. However, on the other side of things, the prospect of Kishimoto having Ada be utterly turned on by Kawaki, verbally abusing her and being standoffish, that isn't too hard to imagine either. She's watched him for a long time. She would know this side of his personality, and she very well could be the representation of the type of woman who gets turned on by something like this, which, if this is true, it's going to lead to a plethora of dirty jokes that Kishimoto is going to hide with this deranged kanji. And given the stuff the man's done in the past, like with characters like Mei, I really do not put it past him. Which, for more information on that, you want to watch my Every Lava Release Jutsu video, because in that video we break down some of the hidden meanings in Mei's jutsu that can be interpreted as being a little bit sexist, depending on what your tolerance level is. Then we have another issue with this plan. While it does put Boruto in the same room with people who they do know are stronger than the current version of Code, so Code wouldn't dare attack on paper, it does lead to a bigger problem. Code at least is going to know where his enemy is once he learns this info, and he can begin planning accordingly. And with those claw marks, he doesn't need much time to get away, and given the fact that he would basically need to isolate Boruto Kawaki, those 10-tailed soldiers allow him to do that. I think that's lower down the list of problems though, but the possibility that someone as fickle as Ada and who loses attention as quickly as Ada doesn't get bored with what's occurring is going to be the biggest wild card in the scheme that Shikamaru's hatched that he has not anticipated for. What do they do if Ada's love for Kawaki is as love with him as she is right now? What if she falls out of love with him? What if she has some type of other ulterior motive for why she wanted Kawaki, which is something that I've said for over a year now does seem suspicious. She had her pick between Boruto and Kawaki, but she was so adamant on Kawaki, and for someone who can see everything in the past up to the moment of her birth, it screams that there's something in Kawaki's past that she can use to manipulate him. This is beyond just wanting to experience love, but again, given Ada's similarities to Makima, which I won't go into spoilers for, I will say if this does go the Makima route, I'd be all for it depending on how it's written, because Makima is one of the better new gen characters that we've had in Shonen Jump so far. Shikamaru's plan leaves way too much to chance right here, and part of me thinks that this is merely a chance to inject more of that Sukenbo humor that Boruto's mangas lack when it was written under Ukyo Kodachi, to serve as a buffer before you get some of the more serious stuff that gets addressed in the story. Whereas Kodachi understood that Ikimoto struggled with humor and expressions. By his own admittance, it's not just me nitpicking. Kishimoto appears to be forcing Ikimoto to get with the program and draw more humor and expressive scenes, because those are staples in shonen manga. Otherwise, the intense moments will rely only on the action and the narrative and not with the art itself, which should be the backbone of these moments. It feels like it's Shikamaru once again coming up with a brilliant strategy like he did to expose Amado and get Code to show himself. It feels like it's going to fall apart due to some unforeseen circumstance that he didn't anticipate for in his calculations. But again, even the best laid plans have problems. The battle with Hidan and Kakuzu, where Shikamaru came up with the plan to capture one of the Akatsuki members of Asuma, ended up resulting in Asuma's death because he didn't have all the facts. This could be a situation like this as well. That being said, I'm curious to know if you guys think that Shikamaru's plan can work, and what do you guys think is the biggest flaw in his plan? While you think that over, click here to watch my Ichigo video essay from Kryptonian Saiyan, and click here to watch my Otsutsuki Clan video.